What if I told you that your 2025 reading goals are already doomed to fail? Be honest, how many times have you set reading goals at the start of the year only to abandon them by March? If you're like most people, it happens every year. I've been there, on both sides actually. I've had years when I read 52 books and I felt really proud about myself. I've also had years when life got in the way and I couldn't read as much as I wanted to. In this video, I want to break down the most common mistakes people make when setting reading goals. And more importantly, I want to talk about how to avoid them. Stick around because this could be the year you finally achieve your reading goals. Don't focus on numbers. There was a time in my life when I was obsessed with numbers when it came to reading. I thought that reading one book a week was crucial and that I wanted to read 52 books a year. Despite being a college student at the time, I poured my heart and soul into reading every single day. I was committed to my goal, and in the end, I managed to read 54 books that year. It was extremely challenging, but I felt very accomplished and proud of myself. However, as someone with a pretty busy schedule, I knew that this pace wasn't sustainable. There was no way I could repeat that every single year. Looking back on that year, I realized that I've learned much more than what was written inside of those books. I grew as a person through the lessons in the books, but I also discovered a very important thing about the process. If you focus too much on numbers, you lose sight of the true purpose of reading. When you're too focused on numbers, it's easy to sacrifice quality for quantity. You might choose shorter books just to stay on track, or avoid longer and more complex ones altogether. You start picking books with simpler language and avoiding anything that feels like a challenge. Reading turns into a pointless race, and in the rush, you forget why you started in the first place. The goal is not to read books, but to become wiser through them. Books are not meant to be consumed like YouTube videos. While YouTube videos take a couple of weeks to produce, books generally represent a couple of years of the author's life. Sure, not all books are created equal, and some of them are quite shallow, but generally speaking, it's worth taking your time to engage with them deeply. Don't be afraid to take your time and reflect on what you're reading. It's okay to spend longer with a book. You can watch videos, you can check out reviews, you can read articles, or even learn about the author's background. The more you engage with the book, the more memorable and meaningful it becomes. Unfortunately, I have plenty of books that I read in the past, but I can't even speak about it for a couple of minutes. It happened because I didn't take the time to reflect on it. So, in my opinion, if you finished a book and you can't even write a mini essay about it, it probably means you haven't engaged with it enough. That's why now, after finishing a book, I write a short review to highlight the most important details and lessons that I want to remember. Focus on quality. Don't chase numbers simply because you want to impress somebody or boost your ego. What's the point of reading if you're just going to forget everything anyway? Take it slow, reflect, and let the books shape you. Don't read what everybody reads. While reading Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami, I came across a quote that truly resonated with me. It goes, "If you only read the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking." Stuck with me, and now I often think about it when picking what to read next. If you're always chasing trends and picking books recommended to you on popular platforms like TikTok on YouTube, you risk missing out on truly memorable and unique books. I went through a phase when I read books recommended by content creators on BookTok. And guess what happened? I ended up hating most of them. I often gave them 2 to 3 star reviews. Sure, I would sometimes stumble across something decent, but for the most part, it felt like a waste of time. So here's the truth. Those content creators recommend books to huge and diverse audiences, and you're a unique individual with your personal preferences. It's worth taking the time to find books that resonate with you. My favorite books aren't necessarily the ones that everybody's talking about. Sure, I have some favorite books that are very popular, but some of them I just discovered by accident. Sometimes I would find a gem simply by going through some random Reddit page, and in some cases I even bought books simply because I liked their cover. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but in some cases it works. You can definitely ask friends and family for book recommendations, explore different forums, ask AI, or even just wander through a random bookstore or library. Nobody's forcing you to finish every single book you start. In fact, if you don't like it, you can just put it down and move on. Reading should be an enjoyable experience, not a race to keep up with other people. Remember to have fun. It's sad but true. The older we get, the less we tend to read. Many people say that reading feels like a chore and that they don't have time for it. They would rather scroll on social media than to sit with a book. I completely get it, okay? I understand that after a long day at school or work, the last thing you want to do is to pick up a book. After all, reading demands more focus and effort than mindlessly watching Netflix or doom scrolling. When reading starts to feel like a chore, it's a sign that something needs to change in your routine. If you always read on your Kindle, try switching to physical books. If you're stuck in a loop of reading the same genre or authors, break out of your comfort zone and try something completely different. You could even explore graphic novels or comic books. If you're too tired to focus on reading, listening to audiobooks is a great option. You can listen to books and do something else at the same time, which is great. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Shift your perspective and start see reading not just as a chore or another habit to maintain, but as an adventure, as a dialogue with the author. When you think about it, reading is just such an incredible experience that we often take for granted. Through books, you can gain access to characters, to stories, and to wisdom that can change your life. To make reading more enjoyable and sustainable, you need to introduce novelty. Novelty keeps things exciting, offering the dopamine boost we often crave in today's overstimulated world. Unlike social media or binge-watching TV, books provide a slower, quieter form of satisfaction, but you can still make things fun by mixing them up. Try genres you've never considered, pick up a random book at a library, or dive into something completely unexpected. Don't be afraid to experiment. Not every book will be a perfect fit, and that's okay. Be flexible. Reading isn't about being rigid. It's about discovering new perspectives, ideas, and worlds. If you're curious about how to consistently take better notes from the books that you read, check out my video about the only note-taking app you will ever need. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.